What do you think are some of the cultural and political roots of all of this? Where do you think it lies? How did it begin?
I would really start this story looking at the 1970s. I think that's where it begins, and I think you have to talk about Richard Nixon in there in particular. Nixon and a lot of conservatives at the time saw the press as an enemy of their agenda. I mean, they called them that, the enemy of the people. Instead of using the fake news epithet back then, they used the liberal media as if their liberalism was blinding them from the truth. And Nixon was a genius manipulator. He told the press, like, hey, the quarters you have in the White House are really old. We're going to build you new quarters across the street. You guys are going to have like top notch materials and space. And really what it was an opportunity to move the press further away from the president.
Kind of like they've
Which
done in the
people are more.
Pentagon.
Exactly. Yeah. Which they're doing right now. Yeah. The Secretary of War is now doing that. Yeah.
The Secretary of War, who, by the way, has a makeup room in the Pentagon, spent millions of dollars so he could have a makeup room in the Pentagon. There's a guy that you want to take to war with you.
You want
But
to
go
look good
ahead.
when you're leading the troops. Yeah.
Yes.
So Nixon was really good in that war in the press. He was also surrounded by people who understood that when it came to fact-based reporting, they weren't going to go very far. They needed alternative media systems, and so like Coors invested a lot. Of course, you had Roger Ailes was a leading voice. Roger Stone. They tried to create these alternative media networks, and their vision really wouldn't come to fruition until the 1990s. And this is when you get Fox News Channel. You get a lot of the deregulation in the 80s from Reagan, like such as the Fairness Doctrine. So you no longer have to have opposing viewpoints. It's not a surprise. The same year they stop enforcing the Fairness Doctrine, we get Rush Limbaugh on the radio. And there's really a right-wing takeover. And, Democrats in the 1990s thought that they had lost so many elections. They wanted to get on board with this corporate agenda. Bill Clinton called it third way politics. We can take corporate money and be culturally left without upsetting the donors. And that was kind of his vision for politics. And so one of those things he did was sign the deregulation of media, and Democrats emulated what Fox had done with Republicans and tried to make MSNBC kind of a bastion for Democratic voters, right? They want to target those wealthy suburban liberals with their advertisements and messaging. And that basically played out. The newspapers remained a source of, good journalism, but they were getting pressured by the internet economy, which was pressuring them to give out their stuff for free, or it was being repurposed on the internet without people paying. They were losing advertising revenue. And eventually the newspapers went the same route. Their op-ed pages started adhering to a political bias, which is the exact opposite of the purpose of an op-ed page. And then the next kind of iteration
Preach it, brother. Preach it.
Right?
I'm with you. You haven't lost me.
That's good. And then on the internet stage, the same thing. Clinton and the Republicans set up the internet to be almost no taxes, almost no regulation, and it became a for-profit entity. But back to what I was saying earlier about their economic incentives. The incentives are to confirm biases. So when people sit down on a search engine or a social media platform, they're getting content that confirms their bias and worldview. So back to your question, it's decades in the making. And, you throw in there the eradication of like civics education in schools. You have a population that really is not media literate. It's really getting informed by hyper-partisan viewpoints. And there's not a lot of education system to teach things like civics and how to kind of focus on principles rather than like party and interrogate political narratives. I think those are some of the major contributing factors to how we got here.